Hi everyone, welcome to It's a Film Thing Q&A. I am Russell Hasenauer, your host, and this week we're going to be talking about the question that I probably get asked the most, at least within the last year, which is, when is that short film you're making coming out? What's been going on with this thing in the last year? It has been just about a year. We started shooting in the last week of June of 2013, and that's what we're coming up on. We're coming up on a year since I shot a majority of this movie, because almost all of it was shot last June and then into July. As early as a month after we shot it, people were already asking where's the movie, and now here we are, a year later. Let's go over what the last year has been like for this project. Last July and August, right after shooting, I started piecing together the first scenes, but I didn't get too much time to put into them because I was also at the same time having to do all of the work on Indie Mogul, including the behind the scenes of how we were shooting this project, which was a lot of fun. It was one of my favorite things that I put together for Indie Mogul, but it did get in the way of me actually being able to do any work on it. And one issue that we had was I couldn't finish the final scene of the movie for a few months because we didn't have Ronnie, our one actor who plays the truck driver, for one night of shooting because there was a tornado in New Jersey one night when we were shooting and he had to stay home. So it took months before we were finally able to work out a date where I could get together with him and shoot his side of the last scene. So that took a while. So I never really had a finished rough cut. And in the middle of all that, I was asked to write and direct a story idea that my Angel of the City star Larry and my director of photography Chris had that eventually became a movie called Breakdown, which was also almost done. But in the midst of that, it just added another big project to my plate, so it was hard to find time to put towards this. Now, my first rough cut I finished in November of 2013. But the truth is, I hated it. I hated my first rough cut of this movie. And this has happened to me before. I've done first cuts of projects that I eventually liked where I wasn't thrilled with it and had to start over. So that's what I did here. I decided I was going to take some time away from it, a few weeks to a month, and then come back with fresh eyes so that I could, maybe get a new perspective on it. But it was within those next few weeks that we got the word that Indie Mogul was going to shut down at the end of last year. And that became this whole thing. We had a lot to do for that channel, and I had to put as much work as I could into the Hey Killer Films channel to try and keep things alive, bring the audience over, let them know I was still going to be doing things like this for them. So things ended up getting delayed a few months. I had my one rough cut I didn't like, and I didn't really return to it for about 3 to 4 months when I finally decided to take a few weeks off of doing Hey Killer Films programming other than the live show and just editing Angel of the City. And I didn't just edit that, I also edited Breakdown. I got together as much of the old projects I'd been sitting on for a while as I could in this time. It was all these projects I finally was getting done, and I actually finally had a rough cut of Angel of the City that I liked early in April this year. I also did that call for the composer, which was great because that's how I met Sam Cugel, who's going to be doing, I think that's how you say his name, who's going to be doing the score for the movie, and I'm excited to hear that. He's almost done with that right now. I also was contacted by a colorist named, I'm going to butcher this too, Jigit Brand? I don't know how to say that first one, but he does really good work. He actually did a really smart thing, which is he took one of the clips that I had shown during my time at Indie Mogul on one of the On-Set Experience episodes. He took video from that was, footage from the film, and colored it himself to show what he could do, and sent me a clip on Facebook, and I just decided he got the job based on that. And so he's also almost done. And I had a commitment from a sound guy named Sean Scarfo, who, his channel I'm also linking below. We're going to talk about him more once the film's out there and I can talk about the actual post-production process a little bit more at length. But he's a really good sound designer. He's working on that. He's almost done. So it's really been out of my hands for the last 2 months. That was about the time when the effects were finished by Jake Zetter. But yeah, other than that, it's been out of my hands for the last 2 months, and it looks like we're finally in the home stretch. Now, I had said at the beginning of spring, I was like, oh yeah, we'll release the film in spring. I even put out this image, and that's probably not going to happen now. But it's not going to go too far into summer before I finally have it done and released. And I'm just going to release it. I'm going to have a premiere for the cast and crew, and after that, I am going to release it for you guys, because you guys have waited long enough. And plus, it's less the kind of a project that I would put out there for a film festival. It's more of the kind of project that I would take as like a pilot for a web series, which I'm thinking of doing with it. It all depends. A lot of things are up in the air over the next couple months with what I'm going to do with the channel, what I want to do next as my next project. I mean, I still want to do a feature, obviously. That was a big part of why this took so long too, is I wanted each aspect of this to be done as professionally as possible with different people in crew positions, especially in post-production. That's why I'm working with 4 other people on post-production aspects. Is because I wanted to know what it was like to work in this kind of, everybody's got their own job, I'm not doing every single thing type of workflow. But I don't know if that's what I want to do next. I don't know if a feature film is what I want to do next, because ever since I partnered with CDS, the options are there to do a web series that could actually do pretty well. So, you know, maybe I could turn Angel of the City into a web series. Maybe I could take one of my few other ideas I've had for a web series and do one of those first. I have a lot of options, and over the next 2 months, I'm going to be moving out of this place. The place where I've shot everything I did for Indie Mogul, everything I've done on Hey Killer Films over the last 3 years. We're moving out of this place, and I'm moving into a completely different area of New Jersey, and, you know, it's going to be a busy next couple months, and I'm no longer going to have an orange background, which actually is probably a plus. But the next 2 months I'm going to be moving. By the end of July, I will be in a new place, and then throughout August, hopefully I can have a new setup and figure out what I want to do, because by then, Angel of the City should be done. If it's not done by August, I'm gonna just shoot myself. And Breakdown should be done by then. But let me know what you'd like to see from me. Would you like to see a web series? I'll do a web series. The good thing about that is working with CDS, I have certain options that I didn't have before. We may actually be able to get the word out about it more so than I could before. And of course, keep sending in your questions. I'll keep answering any film questions I can. Oh, and I have another on-set experience coming. We shot something when we did Breakdown that was originally gonna air on Indie Mogul and then of course never did. So that footage I've been sitting on for about 9 months now, and I'm finally gonna put that together. Once this move is done, I'm gonna have a lot more time to get things done. But I'm gonna do as much as I can over these next 2 months with all of this other stuff going on. But until then, you know, subscribe, check out our other videos. Don't forget all the other projects I've been working on. I've put them all together in a nice group of links in the description below. Check all those out. I'll see you guys next week for the live show on Tuesday.